After taking a look last week at a new name on the Formula 1 grid, this week proves no different, with Aston Martin making a return to the sport after a 60-year gap, replacing the Racing Point team. Like Alpine, they have changed the driver lineup, with yet another multiple F1 world champion partnering a young driver in the hope that the team can improve yet again this season. As always, let's start by having a look at the history of the team, and we will start with the beginning of Aston Martin in F1. The name entered the sport in 1959 at the Dutch Grand Prix, with Roy Salvadori and Carroll Shelby piloting the car. They failed to score any points, with their best finish being 6th place at the British Grand Prix and the Portuguese Grand Prix. Salvadori remained with the team for the 1960 season and was partnered by Maurice Trintignant. The pair failed to score any points, but when I say the 1960 season, I actually mean one race, the 1960 Portuguese Grand Prix, which saw Salvadori retire and Trintignant finish in 11th place. That was Aston Martin's last involvement in Formula 1 until 2016, although there was a few potential returns being rumoured during the 2000s and early into the last decade. They were named title sponsor of the Red Bull racing team from the 2016 season, and while this was nothing more than a title sponsorship on the Formula 1 side of things, we did get to see this James Bond inspired livery and overalls for the 2019 British Grand Prix. The Formula 1 entry that Aston Martin has been rebranded from has a rather complex history, but it all started back in 1991 with Eddie Jordan founding Jordan Grand Prix. The team remained under this name until the end of the 2005 season, which saw Thiago Monteiro finish on the podium at one of the craziest races in Formula 1 of all time, the 2005 United States Grand Prix, but the less said about that race the better. With the team's best constructors finish coming back in 1999 when Damon Hill and Heinz-Harald Frentzen took the team to third place, they were sold to the Midland Group to form Midland Grand Prix. The Midland Grand Prix name only lasted 1 year, as the team was then sold to Spiker Cars to form Spiker F1, which also only lasted 1 season. If you thought that was confusing, strap yourselves in, because the change in names game has really just begun. From the 2008 Formula 1 season, the team would be known as Force India, and the team would prove to be a solid competitor on the F1 grid, especially between 2014 and 2016, when the team went from 6th to 5th and then to 4th in the constructor standings, with Nico Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez driving for the team. It was the 2018 season that really proved problems for the team after they were expelled from the standings when the team went into administration during the Hungarian Grand Prix. A consortium headed up by then Williams driver Lance Stroll's dad, Lawrence Stroll, acquired the team assets and added the Racing Point to the team's name, as the Force India name itself wasn't allowed, as these were technically 2 different teams now. In February 2019, ahead of the new Formula 1 season, the Force India part of the team name was dropped, with the team simply being called Racing Point, before Sports Pesa were made title sponsors, so the team would be known as Sports Pesa Racing Point F1 team. The following season, Best Water Technology, or BWT for short, were made title sponsors, and the team would then be called BWT Racing Point Formula 1 team. The 2020 season would be the best season for the team to date, and looked like they were able to fight at the front of the grid at the end of pre-season testing, where the team's car was very similar to the 2019 title-winning Mercedes W10. A few teams protested parts of the car during the opening rounds of the season, and the team were fined and given a points deduction, but still able to use the car. We saw Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll both stand on the podium in the penultimate race of the season in Sakir, which Perez actually won. Stroll also stood on the podium at Monza, and the team welcomed back Nico Hülkenberg for 3 races if both drivers contracted COVID-19 at different times. Stroll also stood on the podium at Monza, and the team welcomed back Nico Hülkenberg for 3 races as both drivers contracted COVID-19 at different times. The German super sub didn't get to start his first race back at the British Grand Prix, but after qualifying third the following race, he managed to score a 7th place finish before an 8th place finish at the Eiffel Grand Prix. Moving on to 2021 now, and it is an exciting time for the team as 4-time Formula 1 World Champion Sebastian Vettel moves from Ferrari to partner Lance Stroll. The German brings a lot of excitement, expectation and motivation for the team as they attempt to do the historic British manufacturer's name justice. There's finally some stability for the Silverstone based team, and after being the underdogs for the majority of their career, they now have a realistic chance of finishing in the top 3 of the championship. Vettel brings title winning experience, but it's been 7 full seasons since he last won the title, and he's moving up the grid rather than down after Ferrari's disastrous 2020 season. Many thought he would retire, but the temptation to drive a Mercedes powered car was an offer too good to turn down for Vettel. Many believe Stroll is only in his current seat because of his dad's ownership of the team, and while this is true, his performances over 2020 shows that he definitely deserves a place on the Formula 1 grid. He was under a lot of pressure coming up against a driver like Sergio Perez, and while he was second best throughout the season, we've seen a lot more confidence from the Canadian driver, and this is something that will hopefully pay dividends for him during 2021. The current team principal of Aston Martin is Otmar Szafnauer, who's been with the team since 2009. He's been a key figure behind the team's growth, especially the deal to use Mercedes engines from the 2014 season. 2021 is going to be an exciting year for Aston Martin, but the pressure of having a name like Aston Martin might just mean the team won't be taking all the risks that they usually would in order to get a big reward. Perez was a fantastic driver, but he's found an even better seat. Vettel is coming in and is probably the best driver available to lead the team under this new name. Stroll still needs time to develop more, and it will allow them to look at young drivers to potentially replace Vettel in the future, with Stroll ready then to lead the team. How do you think Aston Martin will do in the 2021 season? Let me know in the comment section below. You may have seen that we started a TikTok account for anyone who would like to see our videos in a shorter version. We will be trying to create some content on there every week, so please check it out. The username is @theApexMotorsport. So that's going to bring this video to a close. Thank you all so much for watching, and hope to see you all in the next one. Goodbye.